Okay, so let's review what we learned yesterday. Okay, so Krishna, you got everything on?
Yeah,
You have PyCharm open?
PyCharm not yet.
Everybody have PyCharm open? Yesterday's project?
Yeah, now I have it.
Vaishna, Nia?
Yeah, I have it open. I have everything open.
Okay, so we learned about functions, right? So function, we can think of it as a black box that accepts an input and gives you back an output. So one thing to note is that a function can accept more than one input and output. It can only output one thing, but I'll show you later how we can get around getting output, more than one output. Okay, basically. But okay, so for the signature of a function, we always start with the def and then the name of the function and then open bracket. Oh, let me share my screen. I'm not sharing my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I was saying, so a function, we start with the def keyword and then space and then the function name. We can give it any name we want, but it has to start with the letter, right? And it cannot contain any spaces, and it has to be all lowercase letters. And then we open up a bracket, open parenthesis bracket, and then inside we can give, for example, here we can give our input parameter names. Okay, it could be anything. Again, it's the same convention as the function name. It has to start with a letter, not a number, and it cannot contain any spaces. Okay, so in this instance, say for def hello, we just have a function that doesn't accept any input, like zero inputs, because we don't have anything in the brackets, and it doesn't output anything either, because when we want to output something, remember the keyword, return keyword, right? Return and whatever that we want to output. So this function hello, it doesn't take anything input, nor does it give any output. All it does is it calls another function called print, which is provided by Python, right? And that function itself takes an input, right? It takes an input of string. This is called a string. String is basically like a word, right? It's not a number, it's a word. Okay, and all it does is it prints to the console here. Okay, so this type of function where it doesn't output anything but it does something, it's called a side effect. Okay, so the fact that we call something, it doesn't return anything but it does something, that something is called the side effect. So in this instance, the side effect is actually printing this word, hello Python world, to the console. That's called the side effect. Okay, so let's create another function just to so this time, we have add 10, add 7. I'm just going to create something with 2 input parameters this time. Okay, so you can just follow along. So I'm going to call this just add, and I'm going to take in 2 inputs. I'm going to call it A and B. Notice the comma. So if you want to have more than one input, you separate the inputs by comma. Okay, so here I have 2 inputs, A and B. I can have many inputs as I want, A, B, C, whatever, D, but I'm just going to keep this one simple, where so our function takes in 2 inputs. Okay, and we always have to have this colon and then enter, and this PyCharm automatically adds a tab, so the next line starts with a tab. Okay, so here in this instance, what we're going to do is we're going to return, since our method is add, it's going to add A and B and return it. Okay, so that's our new function, add. Okay, so let's test it out. I'm just going to remove the old stuff. Okay, I'm just going to call add, 1 2, okay, or 1 2. So this should return what? It should return an output of 3, right? But right now it just returns an output. We're not going so when we run this, it's not going to do anything. See, it doesn't output anything, because in order to output anything, we need to take the output of the add function and print it out to the console. So either we can just say print, right, which is the Python function, and then pass in the output of the add. Okay, so if we run this, it should print out 3. Make sense? Inya, you guys understand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we want to talk a little bit about the inputs. Okay, in terms of, remember I said so far the inputs that we passed in are numbers like 1 2 whatever 10 7, and also inputs like these, right? These are called strings, whereas a word, it's a basically a list of characters. You know what a character is? It's like, right, A B C D, like anything like a ampersand, dollar sign, those things are called like characters, right? Okay, so in Python we have built-in types. Okay, so built-in types are like, for example, 10 is a built-in type. So if I say 10 plus 20, it's going to compute to 30, and this plus sign is called the operator. Okay, so we have plus, we have times, right? We have divide for slash, is for divide. Okay, so far I think that's good enough. Like so we know plus, minus, divide, and multiply. Multiply is the star, right? This should give us 20. Okay, and the strings are basically like the words has to start with the quotation mark, double quote. So if you type in the double quotes, you know where that is in the keyboard? It's beside the return, right? So when you type in anything here, that's called a string basically. Okay, so if I want to yeah, that's just called a string. Okay, and also you can either start with a double quote, or you can start with a single quote as well. Okay, but just make sure that if you use a single quote, you have to end with a single quote. Okay, same thing with if you start with the double quote, you have to end it with a double quote. Okay, that's the convention in Python. You can either use a single quote or double quote, but be consistent. Okay, so now we will talk a little bit about how these things, right? 10, 20, whatever, and or any string, where is it actually? How is it actually stored in memory? So basically, all the inputs and outputs, it has to somehow end up in memory somewhere. Okay, so let's just look at how memory is organized in computer. Okay, so memory, you can think of it as, it's like a contiguous set. It's like a space. Okay, contiguous space where that space is divided into little blocks. Okay, for us, we can think of it as this space as being infinitely big, but that's not the case. But for our purpose, we can just say that we're not limited to it. Okay, but every computer has a limit. Like, you know, your RAM, that's your memory, right? So like usually it's like 8 gig, 16 gig, basically. We'll talk about what those G and G means, but for now you can think of it as a contiguous space, and they're divided into these boxes, or these places. So for example, whenever we see 10, that 10 goes in that space, and 20 goes into that. And about our string, let's say for example hello Python, they'll go into that. Obviously, if it is like a long string, what it'll do is computer it'll automatically move it to the other space. Okay, something like this. But so that's how it works. So what is a variable? Variable is basically any memory space we give it a name to that memory space. So for example, I can give this memory space, say, so I can give this memory space a variable named a that points to this memory space. Okay, and for this one I can say, sorry, let's say this space I can give it another name called b. Okay, so when I say a in my program, I'm referring to this space, this memory space. Okay, right now the memory space has value 10. So when we go back to Python here, let's say if I want to create a variable, this is how I do it. I'll just say, the variable always has to start with a letter, right? Just similar to how we name the functions, a variable also has to have the same convention. It cannot start with the number, but it has to have the letter. Say for example, if I call a variable a and I give it a 10, or here I'm giving a number 10. Okay, basically essentially what I'm doing is that I'm allocating a space in memory, one space in memory, right? I'm saying that space is named as a, and I'm putting 10 in there. Okay, that's basically what I'm doing here. Everybody understand that? Anybody any question on that? Yes, no? I need to hear.
No,
Okay.
nothing.
Okay,
Nothing.
so okay, a equal 10, right? Now I can say b equal 20, right? Now I can also say that, so every line you can think of it as a statement that is executed by the computer, right? When the computer sees a equal 10, it's going to allocate this space in memory, right? For me, allocate means like reserve a space. Okay, this box, okay, this box is going to reserve it and put in that value 10 for me, and that a will always refer to that, okay, that space. Okay, that's what it's doing here. And then when I say b equal 20, it's going to reserve another space in memory, and it's going to say that that part is b. It's going to say that part is b. So I can always go to that specific box with that name a or b. Okay, now I can also do something like this. After that, the third statement, so first statement is I'm creating a variable called a and assigning a value 10. Okay, b and assigning a value to 20. I can also say a equal to b. When I say that, what it'll do is it'll take the value from b, right? B is right now 20, so it's always I'm going from left to right. The assignment happens from left to right. Okay, so this equal sign is also called the assignment. Basically, I'm assigning a value 10 to that variable a. Okay, so when I say a is equal to b, basically I'm going to take the value from b and assign it to a. So what will happen is
To make 30.
the 20 will get, no, the 20 will get assigned to a.
Then what would be
Okay,
in there?
that's what this statement a equal b does.
But what would be in B then?
B is still, I haven't changed b because it's still 20. All I said was, see, initially I said a is 10, then b is 20. Then I said, oh, I'm changing my mind. I don't want a to be 10. I want a to be same as b. So what the computer will do is take the value from b, okay, and I give it to a.
Where would the 10 go?
10 is erased in that spot. 10 is no longer, we lost 10.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you say a equals 10 at the top of the code, and then you write some code, and then you change a equals to b after, will the top code be changed to 20 as well, or will it be 10?
So so as the computer executes the statements, basically you have to think of it as the memory space. You have to remember this memory space. Okay, so when you say a equal 10, it's going to allocate this space for you, and it's going to give it a name a, and you just gave it a value of 10, right? But then down the road, right, you said a is equal to b. Basically what happens is that that space a gets written over with a value from b, which is 20. Okay, so So after the third statement is executed, your program state looks like this. That's what you have to remember. That's how the program works. Okay, there's no, like, you cannot go back in history. You know what I mean? That's what you're asking, right? What happens
Yeah.
is that A. So these are just statements that get executed. The computer always goes down and executes. There are ways to come back, but when it comes back, it's a different story. I'll get into that. But for now, you can think of it as just it's just basically a bunch of statements that's executed that affects the memory. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What would happen after it affects the memory?
The memory gets changed over time. Okay, so right now your computer memory looks like this. Okay, so now we're talking about, so these variables can be assigned a value, right? Like here I assigned a number value. So in Python there are built-in types. Okay, so we have number types. Okay, whereas 10, or I can say 10.5 or whatever, right? Those are number types. I can also assign, for example, let's say I have a variable called message, and I can say, I can give it a word. Okay, it's called a string, hello world, or hello Python, or something like that, right? Anything that is a string is called anything that is a word is called string. That I can assign this, right, like this. So here this space would be this memory space. I'm saying what did I name it? I named this variable message, right here. Okay, so it's pointing to this. Okay, so that's what a variable is. A variable is nothing but a location in memory where you can assign values to that memory spot. Okay, that's what a variable is. Now another thing I can do is, for example, an expression like this. I can say a is equal to a plus 10. Okay, let's just assume that we start with 10. Okay, let's say if we start with a is 10, b is 20, and message is hello Python, and I say in this statement here a is equal to a plus 10. Okay, so let's just say we start with this a 10, b 20, and now in this statement if I say a is equal to a plus 10, what do you think going to happen to this part?
The value changed to 20?
Yes, it's going to change it to 20.
Wow.
Can you explain me what happened? What just happened?
It's because it got written over
Yes.
since a equals 10, so a will equal to a plus 10, so 10 plus 10.
Correct. So that's what happens. Inia, you understand?
I kind of understand.
Good. Okay. But now at this part, a has become 20. Okay, a is not 10 anymore. It has changed. So from this part onwards, whenever you say, let's say I create a new variable called c is equal to a plus b.
30. I mean 40.
40. Yes. So c would be 40. Get it? Make sense?
You just added then would that mean that b is 30? B value never changed.
We never change b in here.
Okay.
We just created
The
a
next
new
one
variable,
would be 80. D
right?
would be 80 if you had all of them together.
Yes, but no, we're not creating another variable. If we do, then that will happen. Okay, make sense, Inia? Did you?
Yeah.
Right? We just created a new variable. So anything on the left is how we create a variable. Anything on the right is what we assign it to that variable. Okay, it always goes from right to left, the assignment. So far, you guys with me? Everybody's good? Okay, so in terms of types, we have numbers, we have strings, and we also have something else. Actually, we have many things, but the next most important thing is something called a Boolean. Okay, Boolean is basically, it can only contain two values, either a true or a false. Okay, It's kind of like 0 or 1, but it has special meaning. It's called a Boolean, and it can contain a value, either a true or a false. So if I want to create a new variable, a Boolean type variable, okay, so far I've created a number type variable and a string type variable, right? Now I can also create a Boolean type variable. Let's say I want to call this let's say I call this D, and I can assign a value like true, like this, capital T RUE, okay? So it can either be TR true or FALSE false. True means it's like yes, false means no, that kind of thing. Okay, it's called a Boolean type. Okay, we're gonna find out why we need this type. This is a very important type when we make decisions in program. Okay, so we learned about 3 types: number, string, and Boolean. Numbers can contain like any number, okay, a whole number or a decimal, right? uh, and uh, and strings can contain any text, basically any words, okay. And now the third type is Boolean. Boolean can contain only 2 different types, two values. It's either a true or a false, and a true starts with capital T, so always starts with the first letter, starts with a capital. True or false, okay.
Why would it only pick true or false?
It cannot contain anything else. So if you look at the memory spot, let's say we just create a new variable.
Okay.
This spot is either, it just contains true, okay. For now you can think of it as it's in reality it actually contains, for true it contains 1, and for false it contains 0, okay. But for now we can just think of it as true or false, okay. Okay, it's another type, okay. So where does this true and false come into play? It comes into play with when we compare 2 variables, okay. So comparison of, so far we learned about the plus, minus, divide, right? Those things actually combines 2 values into 1, right? So a plus b, it combines a and b together, or a minus b, it subtracts, right? A times b, and it multiplies. A divided by b, it divides, okay. So we have other operators called comparison operators, okay. Those are like less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, okay. Or another one's called equal to. It checks whether two variables are equal or not. That's a double equal, okay. You can also compare if something is not equal to, that starts with the exclamation mark and equal, okay. So these operators are called comparison operators, okay. So unlike the other operators where, plus, minus, when we do a plus, it returns back the same type, right, as you pass in. Like for example, let's say I create a new variable, right, called s, and I pass my function add, and I pass a and b to it, okay. Or I'll just say a plus b here, just for, okay. When I use this operator, a plus b, s is going to be 20 plus 10, which is 30, right? Or actually, let me just get rid of it so we know, to make it simpler.
Why 30?
Okay, a, b. Right now we have a and b. S will be 30, okay?
Oh.
Okay. Now if I have another, if I use those comparison operators here, say for example, I'm going to call this C1 equal to a less than b. So what do you think this is going to do? A less than b.
It would make
What would
10.
C1 be?
I mean 10. Yeah, 10.
No, this doesn't actually return a number. What it returns is a Boolean.
Oh, it's
Yes.
It's true. A
Yeah.
is less than B.
A is less than B. It's going to return, this operator actually returns you a Boolean value. Remember, Boolean can only be a true or a
Two
false.
options,
What is it in here?
only two choices.
Yes, only two choices. So these operators, the comparison operators, right? Less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, and not equal to. When you use that operator, what it returns you back is a Boolean value.
Like this, C1 in
Yeah, so when I do C1 equal to A less than B, what is going to end up is, in memory space, what we're going to end up is,
Boolean.
let's say I change the C1, it's going to be true. Because A is, let's say A was 10 and B is 20, it's going to compare A with B. A is less than B, right? 10 is less than 20. So then it's going to say, then it's going to get assigned, C1 is going to get assigned a value of Boolean true. Okay, so the important thing to remember is these operators, the comparison operators, return you back a Boolean value. So far, you guys with me? It's gonna get a little bit more complicated as we go, okay? But
I understand. So if it was D1 and it was this one.
greater than, less than? Did you
Yeah,
learn
then
greater
it-
than, less than? Yeah,
then
right?
it would be one.
Okay, you learned
Then
that.
it would be true.
Yes, or false. Let's say if I say if I say B less than A, what do you think?
Be false.
Yes, because B is actually greater, right? Right? That's how it works.
But why would you put C1 either way?
I can name it anything I want. This is, left side is the variable, right? I can name it anything I want.
You can name
The meeting's gonna expire in 8 minutes.
But I don't think it does, right? Last time it also didn't expire, right, Vaishnav?
I don't know.
Last time the host upgraded the meeting to unlimited minutes.
Okay, so Vaishnav, you can do that, right?
How?
Last time it said that you did that on my screen.
I left and I gave host the upload. So
It's for 8 minutes till now.
then we'll make it because but after class it said you can get a 40-minute extra pass. But you didn't press on it.
When? I didn't know that.
It said after class, but you said it was a scam.
I didn't know that. Anyways, let's see what happens, okay, after 7 minutes. If it's not, we'll create another meeting and send you another code.
Okay.
Okay. So what were we saying about the comparison operators? What it returns, right? It always returns a Boolean value, right? So now we know all the three types: number type, string type, and Boolean type. Okay. Regular operators like plus operator, it returns you the same type, whereas the comparison operator, it only returns you a Boolean type. So for example, let's say I have two messages, message 1 and message 2. Okay, message 1 is hello Python and the other one is hi. Okay, so suppose I say, can I do message 3 equal to message 1 plus message 2? Okay, what do you think message 3 will be?
Message 4.
No.
Hello Python, hi.
Yes. So what this plus does is because basically we're trying to add two strings, right? So what does that mean? In Python, it basically, if I print that out, right? What it's going to say is, hello Python. Basically, it just appends that, the other string, the second string, to the first string. Okay? Does that make sense? So this plus operator behaves differently based on what the input for that is. Okay, what the input type is. If I have just A and B, what do you think message 3 is going to be?
AB.
30.
30, yes.
Oh wait, no.
Because A is a type of number. So depending on what the type is, that operator is going to behave differently. Okay, for strings, it's just going to be concatenating it. It's just going to put the next one beside each other. Whereas if it is a number, it's actually going to do the A plus B. Okay, that's just for plus. I don't know what it does for minus. It doesn't make sense to minus word, right? And it's just only the plus that you need to know about when you want to put two strings together. You just use a plus. Okay, so now we're going to learn about decision making. So decisions can be made only based on a Boolean variable. Okay, so how we do decision making, let's say for example, let's say I want to create a function that takes in an input age, okay, and the output of that function is going to tell me whether that age is eligible for voting or not. Okay, so what does it mean by eligible for voting? In Canada, how old do you have to be to vote? 18, right? So this function called can I vote, let's just say sorry, it has to be lowercase, can I vote, it's going to take in the age, because I cannot have spaces for function names. So one convention in Python is to have underscores. Okay, so this thing is going to take the age, and I'm going to return a Boolean, a true or false. And how do we get a Boolean?
You need to use these.
Using a comparison operator?
Yes, you need to. So here we can say age greater than or equal to 18. So
which is age?
huh?
Which one's age?
Age is the input that I'm passing into our function. I'm just naming our input age, and we only have one input. Okay, and we're going to assume that the age is going to be a number. Okay, so if that age is greater than or equal to 18, this part is going to evaluate to a Boolean.
Then it would be true.
Well, it depends on the age, right? Because we haven't passed in anything. We haven't called the function. So now if I say, let's say if I call something called result, okay, I'm going to create a new variable called result, and I'm going to assign the output of this function that I'm going to call. So I'm going to call can I vote. Okay, let's say what age do we want to give, for example?
18.
Okay, if we give 18,
then equal.
Then the result would be, what is the result would be?
Equal.
Yeah, but what will our function return? I mean, when we give 18, it's going to do 18, and it's going to come to this statement, and it's going to say return 18 greater than or equal to 18.
Then it will be equal.
It'll be true.
So it will return true, because 18 greater than or equal to 18 yes, so that this operator greater than or equal to is going to return you a Boolean. So when it looks at 18 greater than or equal to 18,
true.
It's true, right? 18 is greater than or equal to 18, right? Because this is going to compare anything that is greater.
The greater part, because 18 and 18 are the same number.
Yes, it is the same number. That's why it's going to return the true. Because if it's anything less than 18, it's going to return false. But since our comparison operator says greater than or equal to, and it's going to compare age with this 18, if age is greater than or equal to 18, then it's going to return true, this comparison. So
How come when I write like the greater or equal,
yeah,
it has like it doesn't become like that. It becomes like I'll show you my screen.
okay.
How about stop sharing? How about stop sharing? You can't share then.
It's like this.
What are you typing in the keyboard?
Like the operator. I'm trying to do like the exact same thing. Then it
No,
becomes
you have to say
that.
age greater than or equal to, right? You cannot just return greater than or equal to 18. Age greater than or equal to 18.
Age.
Because the comparison operator works on two things, just like a plus works on two values.
Yeah, it still becomes the same.
Okay, so can you share the full screen? I think your character set is wrong.
Krishna, share your full screen.
What?
His last answer was 4.
Oh, Zoom meeting ended. Vaishna, can you create a new meeting? I think our Zoom meeting ended. Same thing? Okay, what's the number? Where's my phone at?
There.
It's the same thing. Where's Amma's phone? Amma? Where's your phone?
Just like Krishna needs to share a screen, I have to end.
Kick you out.
I didn't kick Vaishna out.
Yeah, Vaishna is
Because at the end of Vaishna's meeting, it's probably going to say,
Welcome back.
So do you understand what this greater than or equal to does?
Okay.
It takes these two things and compares.
But,
And
but 18 is not greater than 18.
greater than or equal
It's
to,
equal to.
because it's equal. This is only satisfied when it's greater than or equal to this operator.
Yeah, but why would you? But you can't. Can you just put equal?
No, we're comparing it. Our rule,
Oh, because you're comparing it. That's why.
yes. So when we compare age to 18, it is greater than or equal to, because we're passing 18,
And they are both great numbers.
and it satisfied our condition. The age has to be greater than or equal to. Since it is 18 and is equal to it, then our thingy here, the statement, is going to return true.
It's the multiple choices.
Okay.
What's wrong with Krishna?
Hmm?
Krishna. Oh,
Krishna, can you share the screen?
Full screen, Krishna. He doesn't have
I
access.
can't.
He doesn't have access right now.
Oh, Vaishnav, can you give share access?
Air access?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Let me give Amma some of that.
You're just sharing. You're not sharing your whole screen.
Yeah.
he is. He just put it on full
No.
screen.
What
It turns
language?
out to be this.
What language are you using?
Yeah, what language setting are you using?
He's using US.
US?
Yeah.
Then it should be okay. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay.
I've
I'm using.
if I can.
No, just use greater than or equal to. Maybe it's okay. Can you just say result equal to can I vote? And give it some age. 1, yeah, and then at the after that type in print. Let's call the print function and pass in the result. Open parenthesis, yeah, pass the result in there. Yeah, and execute. Click on the triangle play button. Let's
Triangle play.
you know, at the bottom left.
Just you have to run it.
Oh, this.
Yeah,
Yeah, run it.
yeah. So it says
False.
false. So it is working. It's just that I don't know how, but your character set is somehow interpreted like this. Okay. So I think I know why. You know the hello world. Just right click on that. Let's try to like expand that. No, on
So-
the on the left, the project.
Here.
Yeah, just expand that. You know that arrow? No. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, exactly. So right click on hello world.py. Right click on it.
Result.
Yeah. Is there anything called properties or anything? I just want to see what that is. You know what? Let me quickly do a Google. See. Okay, go to, okay, let me share my screen so you can see what it is. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
So on IntelliJ, go to, sorry, not IntelliJ, PyCharm. Go to settings, preferences.
Where?
On PyCharm, Krishna.
Okay, let me just. So I go to PyCharm.
You know, it's better. It's probably better if you let me stop sharing and can you share your
Yeah.
screen? So at the top, go to the top menu, the very top. No, not here. The very top. Yeah. Go to File and go to Settings. Okay. On the search box, type in file encoding or
What do I type?
File
encoding.
encoding.
No, just file encoding.
Oh, file.
No, encoding is not.
ENCODING.
Yeah.
No, write an EN in front of coding.
Oh,
File N.
Yeah.
It's one word.
One word. Yeah. No, encoding is one word, Krishna.
Encoding.
Just take out that space.
No, encoding is one word. Encoding is one word. And I thought it was a separate word.
Okay, just click on that thing. What does it say? Yeah, click on it. Change file encoding. Does it do anything? No. Okay, anyways, I'll figure out how to do this later. What is wrong? Editor file encoding. It's editor file encoding. Yeah, what does it say? If you click on it, what does it say? Okay, here. Okay, so at the top it says project encoding. You see? So global encoding UTF-8 and project encoding is a system default. Change that to UTF-8. Yeah, and apply. Okay. Now just delete that and type it again.
It showed it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. When he just deletes it, just makes one.
Maybe type them separately.
No, you cannot type that operator separately.
No, like you type this first, and then you can like put a space, and then delete that, and then that's how you stop autocorrect. No, it doesn't work like that.
That's okay. Anyways, it works for you. Syntactically, it works. It's just that the view that we have, it's like that. That's fine, okay? But just remember that I'll figure it out later how to do that, okay? I'll tell you later. I don't have to Google it and find out. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so we can see that the result is a Boolean, right? The comparison operator. So if I print it out, it should tell me true here. Okay. Okay. So up until now, all our variables, we assigned a value or we took an output from the function, right, to assign it to a variable. What if we want to ask the user to enter the age? Okay, so Python gives you a function called input that actually takes input from the keyboard. Okay, so let's just show you how that works. Let me just get rid of this. So I'm going to create a variable called user input, okay, just to say what the user, and this special function called input, right? If I do this, what it's gonna, when I run this, what's gonna happen is that, okay, let's run this. The program doesn't end. Okay, it's just stuck there waiting for user input. Okay, so if I type in something here and I press enter, then only the program ends. Okay, so this input function is a special kind of function. You don't have to pass in anything, it's optional, but the output of that is whatever the user typed in on the console. So to prove that, let's just print out the user input. Okay, okay, so now if I run, as soon as it hits this statement, the program just waits. Okay, the program doesn't end, it's just waiting. That's what this function does. It just pauses execution of the program and waits for somebody to like put something in and press enter. Then only it continues. So as it continues, this user input variable gets the input from the user. Okay, I could have named it whatever. I could have named it S, right? It's the same effect. Okay, it just waits. Makes sense? This is how you get user input to your program. What happened to Krishna?
He got kicked out, I think. He joined back right now.
Krishna? So this,
Yeah, I'm here.
so this input function is a special function that is given to us by Python. Okay, similar to print, this input function is given to us by Python. The purpose of this input function is to gather user input, as in the person who's using this program. Like, it allows the user to type whatever they want, and that whatever they typed in gets assigned to that function, this variable that we set it up. So the output of this function gets assigned to this variable. Okay, you know, before we were just assigning just variables, something like this, right? That's not very useful if you want the user to interact with our program, right? So for that purpose, Python has given us a function, right? What it does, it pauses execution and waits for user to input something. Okay, does that make sense? So it's a little bit tricky. So let's say we want to get the age from the user. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable called age, and I'm going to ask the input function to wait for the user to enter the age. Then I'm going to calculate whether that age can I vote. I'm going to call that can I vote function on it with that age. Okay, then I'm going to print this. Okay, does that make sense what I'm doing? Inia, are you following? Yeah, so I'm pausing the program. This calling this input function is going to pause my program and wait for the user to input something. Okay, so this age, right, and it's going to assign it to this variable called age. Then I'm going to pass that age to my function that I created, that's going to determine whether somebody can vote or not, because the output of can I vote function is a Boolean, right, because we're using a comparison operator. Okay, so basically what we are doing is we're not restricting the age to be some fixed value, but rather the age is going to be determined based on the input of the user. Okay, so let's run this program. So if we run it, it's not going to end, it's going to wait for our input. It's basically going to wait for this statement here. Okay, waiting for our input. So let's say I put in 5 and enter. Oh, sorry, it didn't work. You know why? Because all the inputs, the whatever the input that returns, that type of value is a string, and I cannot do a comparison on a string. So what I need to do is I need to set the age. I'm going to call this special function, another special function called int. Okay, you can think of int as a function that accepts a string, okay, which we got from input, and converts it to a number. Okay, because we need to deal with a number. Only a number can be compared. It's kind of tricky. Are you guys following?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to write it.
It takes the input, which is a string, and makes it a number.
Yes. So now at
And then
this point, the age was a string, whatever the user put in, because this input treats everything as a string. Okay, because input doesn't know about what type it is. It just gives you back a string 5. Okay, as in here the input would be like this 5 within the quotes. Okay, within the quotes means it's a string. So we need to convert that to a number. Like we need to say age is, we need to say something like this: age equal 5. Okay, rather than age equal 5.
Because you're dividing two times?
No, it's supposed to be a comment. Comment in Python is a, sorry, not a double slash, but like this. This is a comment.
Why is there a hashtag?
Hashtag means it's a comment. The program doesn't use that to execute. It just ignores anything here. Okay, so going back, so the input function actually returns you a string. So we need to convert that string into a number. Okay, so now we can use the age to compare. So let's run it again. So it's waiting. If I say 5, it's going to say false. Okay, now if I run it again, waiting for input, let's say if I say I'm 56, press enter, it's going to say true.
Duh.
Okay,
Do you need both when you're writing a code like this? Do you need both age equals input and age equals int age? Or
that was just I was just showing that. So in reality, you don't really need to do that. So remember, functions can be chained, right? So in this instance, I can pass the output of input into the function int right away. I don't need to put it into a variable.
What function is int?
The int is a special function that is given by Python that's going to convert a string into a number. Okay, I can do this.
What's a string?
In fact, I don't even, if I need to shorten it, right, I can take this part, which is going to be a number, this is an age, I can pass it right in here as age. But it kind of gets a little bit hard to read, right? Because you have a bracket and bracket, right, Waylon?
yeah.
So that's why we kind of like, we always trying to write it more meaningful in this way. So I can say input, taking the input, and that input I'm going to convert that to a number. So now I can, when I read my program, I can say, oh, this, I got an input and it's converted to a number, and that's age. Now I'm passing the age to my function that I built earlier. That's going to tell me whether the person can vote or not. Okay, even if I want to make it a little bit even more easier to read, I can take the output of my function can I vote, which is a Boolean, and save it as a variable called result, and I print that result. These are all equivalent programs, right? Do you understand? Does that make sense? Inia, are you following?
Yeah. Why is int a special one? A special input.
Int is a special function that converts a string, which is basically a text, into a number.
Well, why is it special?
It's not special, it's just another function that is given to us by Python, okay, to make our lives easier. Because without those functions, we cannot do much. We have to write those functions, and it's much easier when they are already, the functions are given to us and we can reuse those functions. Just like the function print, right, which is highlighted in purple, that means it's given to us by Python already. Python knows how to talk to this terminal.
That's the result, Papa.
Result is our output of our function, can I vote. The output of a function is a comparison between the...
No, what would be the result for this one now?
Well, it depends on what the user inputs, right? Because we're taking that input the user gave and converting that user input into a number and assigning it to a value called age. And then we pass that age to our function. And then, so it all depends on what the user is giving. So if I run my program and I want to give it an age, what age you want to give it?
8.
So if I give it 8 and hit enter, then that 8 is passed to this int function, which is converted to a number and assigned to this age variable. So age would be 8, and that 8 is get passed down to can I vote function, right? And that 8 is compared with 18 when is 8 is less than, because it's not greater, so it's returned a false value Boolean, which gets assigned to the result, and then the result we printed out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Inya, Krishna, Vaishna, you guys good?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so today what we learned is, we learned about a new type, right? Boolean. It can only contain true or false. And also we learned how to get user input and assign to a variable. We also learned about variables. Okay, variables are basically a pointer into a memory space where we can write and rewrite values into memory.
Int is when it's like a word is converted into a number, right?
Yeah, a whole number. Okay, we'll get to other functions where we can convert a string to a decimal number. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next class. For now, you can think about int is converting a string into a whole number, like 1 2 3 or -1 2 3, like that type of numbers. Okay, because age is a whole number. Okay, so I'm going to give you so based on what we learned, I don't think I can give you much like I cannot give you an exercise, because so far only thing we learned is ints, the numbers, right, and booleans and comparison, like simple things that we can do, compare, right? So maybe I can find you an exercise. Okay, so I'll post an exercise where from whatever we learned, you have to come up with a function that does something, okay, and take the user input. I'm going to come up with an exercise tonight, and I'm going to post it in the Google Classroom. I already set up a classroom for us, so I'll share it. So why don't you for after this class, you guys, Melon, Krishna, Inya, Vaishna, you guys send an email to this email address. Okay, the email address is Python codingkids@gmail.com.
No caps.
No caps, no spaces.
How do we send it?
You don't know how to send email?
I knew it. What do we send?
Just send me an email, pythoncodingkids@gmail. Then I will add your email address to the classroom, and then the classroom will send you email notification when I post the assignments, and you have to do the assignment.
You just give us the code
to the classroom. Yeah.
Sorry?
The code.
The
Code
code?
for the classroom.
It's easier.
I don't have it yet, so
Yeah, you do.
just send me an email. So then I'll send you a
the
code.
name of the classroom? Underneath it says the
Yeah, it says the code up. Wait, go to your classroom
Okay.
up.
So that's it for today.
No, give them the code and then they
Yeah,
can
let me stop right